Hi everyone, good morning. Hope you'll bear with me for 30 minutes before your lunchtime. I'm Robin from Asiasoft. Basically, I'm leading the international business team in Asiasoft, doing acquisition and strategic development. So for today, basically, I will actually speak about the Southeast Asian market, where this is where Asiasoft is based in. So for my presentation summary, the agenda, I will talk about Asiasoft, which is I think should be quite new to quite a number of people, and followed by the statistics information about Southeast Asia and the gaming market on PC, online, mobile, and basically what are the next trends coming up. For Asiasoft, we are basically a leading game publisher in Southeast Asia. We have been around for 14 years. That's a very long time, since 2001. And we actually are the pioneers in PC online gaming, where we publish one of the earliest titles like RO Mobile, RO Ragnarok Online. And from Asiasoft, basically we started out in Thailand, and from Thailand we expanded to the rest of Southeast Asia countries. Right now we are based in 6 countries with local offices, and we are listed in Thailand Stock Exchange in 2008. And right now we have over 1,000 staff around the region. So for Asiasoft, mainly our core business is PC online games, and right now we publish over 56 games. And over the 14 years, we have gathered a base of more than 80 million gamers in the region. So that, comparing to the population, that's basically like 1 in 8 in Southeast Asia is a user of Asiasoft. So this is basically an overview of our core business. On PC online games, that's where we started, and we are also a partner of Blizzard. In the coming year, we will be launching Heroes of the Storm with Blizzard for Southeast Asia region. And mobile has been coming up recently, and it's growing very fast. That's where one of the business that we are expanded our operations into. And for Asiasoft, we had our own payment system, marketing channel, and so forth. So we actually opened up all these services to our partners to channel their games into the region. So that's so much about Asiasoft. And for Southeast Asia, the C region is basically made up of 11 countries. In total, the population is actually more than 630 million. So if you look at the statistics, it's actually like maybe what 45%, 50% of the China size. And actually we had a very strong internet penetration rate, which is about coming to 30%, right now at 195 million or coming to 200 million. And we had very strong mobile subscription penetration rate, which is exceeding the number of people, the population in the region. So basically what does that mean? Southeast Asia is a region that is fast growing. Users are actually very I would say, welcome all these internet services, gaming very much. And it's a very young region where there's a lot of potential opportunities for everyone. So for Southeast Asia, basically we can break it up into 2 parts. We can call it the Big 6 and Small 5. The Big 6 basically are the 6 leading countries in terms of technology advancement and in terms of GDP and income, and that makes up more than 80% of the region. That's about 500 over million. Then for the small 5 countries, these are, I would say, emerging markets that will actually come up in the next 3 to 5 years. Myanmar has just recently opened up last year. It's growing, but not that fast. It's an upcoming region where they'll join the Big 6 soon, maybe in the next 2 years. So as for the breakdown of the region, so you could see that Indonesia is the biggest country that actually takes about maybe 30% of the whole population base. And looking at the statistics, you could see how the breakdown of the internet penetration rate, the mobile subscription rates, and also the mobile social users that are available in the country. And one good thing is that for all the countries except for Singapore, which is 100%, near 100% urban, the rest of the country still has a lot of room to grow in the rural areas. I would say that, like say for Indonesia, only a few countries are, a few cities have been developed where there are most of the users are being based in, but the rural areas are still been sought for expansion. Same for same for Philippines, where everyone is crowded in Manila, but over the years there will be more development in the rest of the cities. And for Southeast Asia, we are basically really a young region, except for Singapore, where there are more than age 35 and above is more than the younger ones. But the rest actually has about 60 to 70% of the population which is age 34 and below. So actually what does that constitute? Basically it's actually good market for gaming, because the users actually, users in Southeast Asia love gaming, love social, love media content and so forth. So the market is growing. Users are, the population in all these countries actually are experiencing high, attracting more usage for media consumption on the internet. And just now from Facebook, they show that consumption of social is very high. So you could see that Facebook alone has more than 440 million users. I think my data is outdated. I think they should have more. And even looking at Google+, YouTube, Twitter, the new user base is actually growing very fast. And there's actually a need for localized content, user-generated content in the Southeast Asia region. And for Southeast Asia, content right now the content that we have mainly are sourced from the Western and from the Eastern side, like Korea, Japan, or even from China itself. And Southeast Asian, we spend a lot of time on in front of our screen, whether it's a TV screen, computer screen, or even the mobile screen. We are actually higher than the global average. Philippines itself, from a recent survey, actually spend about 6 hours in front of PCs. Basically, their life is work, sleep, internet, or games. So mobile is rising. Users are spending also about half the time on looking at all their mobile screens, either playing games, watching videos, or just surfing the net. So these numbers are actually expected to grow even further, because we really love the internet a lot. And last year, on GameBeat, there's an article, gaming market in South Asia expected to reach 1.2 billion in 2017. Given the current condition, right now this is not correct, because the market will be even bigger than 1.2 billion itself. So next, I'm going to the PC online gaming market. This may be very quite new to everyone, because PC online gaming market has not been really a focus for the last few years in conferences. So actually it's a big market in here. You could look at the revenue figures. Estimated in 2014, we are like over 700 million worth of revenue in this region. And PC online gaming revenue is right now higher than mobile gaming revenue, but that is expected to normalize, maybe giving it another 3 years. However, with the growing trends of mobile, PC online gaming revenue has actually slowed down. So I don't think for 2004, or with all the publishers combined, we may hit that figure. It will be actually lower, because the revenue has been spilled over to the mobile gaming side. And from the revenue itself, basically, these are the people who are paying us all the money. And gamers-wise, that's a lot for us. In each country, basically, it's like maybe 30% of the young population that we have. So combine, just this is statistics for PC online. Mobile gaming is another set. So we had coming to 100 million gamers, desktop gamers, playing FPS game, playing MMORPG, mobile games, LOL, Dota 2, or even Blizzard games. So, and this is expected to grow because of the young population that we have, and PC gaming spreads very fast in Southeast Asia because we have a lot of cyber cafes around the whole region. Total combined, we estimate to be about 50,000 cyber cafes in Southeast Asia in the big 6 countries. And for PC online gaming, trends has shifted a lot. 5 years ago, everyone is in MMORPG. I would say, like in Southeast Asia, the Ragnarok Online is very popular. Maple Story, Audition, all these casual RPG role-playing games. But in the last 2 years, with the introduction of heavy introduction of FPS games, mobile games, things have shifted a lot. Users are getting more competitive. They are actually more into esports. And for FPS games, we can even hit 100,000 CCU. This is in one country. And actually, it's in Indonesia, we can hit 100,000 concurrent users on one game. And even for mobile games like LOL type, 70,000 can be hit in Thailand. And sports games, Vietnam, Thailand, easily you can hit 40,000. That's the figure for the FIFA 3 game. And if you look at, this is just a concurrent users. If you look at the active user base, actually it's 3 to 4 times. So it's still a healthy base, but compared to the growth in mobile, it had overshadowed the PC online games in the region. But things are actually very, with esports, it's very different. Players get competitive. They compete for in tournaments, going for global prizes. Like Dota 2, recently they held the World Tournament. They registered 1 million concurrent viewers on the internet to view just 2 teams fighting out over 5 matches. Or LOL Championship, they registered 38 million of users over the whole championship course. And users prefer all these exciting esports competitive because one thing, they can make money out of it and gain the stardom. So one thing about the gaming market in South Asia, everyone has been actually asking me, will mobile game replace PC online game? My answer is no. One thing is, experience is very different when you're playing in front of a big screen and on a small screen. Even you have a tablet, you couldn't, let's say, compare the experience that you have because you like the fast-paced action, you like basically the teamwork, the connectivity that you have playing in a group. And each market in Southeast Asia actually is very different. What works in Thailand does not work in Philippines. Cultural, language, consumer. So for some publishers or developers, we have a tendency to treat everything Southeast Asia as one. But the advice is actually split it up, try to understand the market. And traditionally, it's a very there's high barrier of entry to the PC online market because we are able to build our community and we don't have app stores that put up all the games and for users to download. For publishers like us and others, basically we build our community, engage them, and keep them alive. And that's the main thing, is every game is different. So saturated market. Anyone who is looking into coming into Southeast Asia to do publishing, please take note, there's a lot of games. In Thailand itself, we registered 150 PC games. That's now. 3 months ago, it's 180. Games have been actually been killed off because they're not making money. But there's still too much games in the market and it's very saturated. So you need to see where you are before you jump in. And understanding local needs, the cultural, the consumer preference, engaging users. These are basically ways to find success in PC online gaming. And next, for mobile games. So last year, end of the year, from GfK, there's a report that came out that over 41 million smartphones are being purchased in Southeast Asia. So I would say the figure is very high, given that it's for one whole year across the 6th region. And every time we are always faced with these numbers, wow, the numbers look big. Penetration rate over 100% in Southeast Asia, 689 million, or even 700 million. But the question is, how many smart devices actually is there in the market actually? Because mobile subscription is just based on the SIM card that operators sold, and for prepaid cards, there's a lot of unused prepaid cards in the market. They are churned, they have been thrown away, or someone is holding 2 or 3 prepaid cards, maybe one phone, one card for one girlfriend each, and so forth. But actually, how many smart devices? I think that's a question that everyone would like to know. So, personally, I did some checks and survey. The market actually in Southeast Asia is, for the big six, is actually not bad. Estimation is between 120 mil to 140 mil of smart devices. This includes tablets. And for all the smart devices that we have, most of the devices are actually from the mid and low range. Thanks to manufacturers in China, we get very cheap phones. I can buy a smartphone less than 100 US. In Indonesia, in Vietnam, I can get a tablet Wi-Fi, minimum specs maybe about 70 US. Actually, that actually drives the usage, consumption of mobile gaming and mobile entertainment in Southeast Asia. And if you look at the breakdown, the blue actually represents smartphones or smart devices. The red are all the feature phones. This is based on 2013 data. It's expected to actually be more, but users are changing phones very fast. It's time to change away all the old Nokia phones. Basically, getting obsolete even if they purchased it 5 years ago. I don't think it will work well. And with the influx of cheap phones from China, this actually drive users to change their phones. And users actually realize how much more entertainment they can get out of the phone right now in Southeast Asia, especially in the rural countries, areas, because internet broadband connections are not good, or some do not even have it. They only have the 3G network, or even the GSM network where they can access internet. So users are in droves changing phones. I bet by end of this year, if you look at the report from GfK, the number could have doubled up. So for Southeast Asia, mobile-wise, it's still a war between Android and Apple. And actually, Android is winning the war. Actually, it's more than 60% in the market due to the cheap phones that we have. But Apple itself capture a very exclusive market because they actually had a high-end market where users are able to consume more and pay more. So Android has the bigger base, but pay rate consumption of in-app purchases is low. And for the App Store market, it has been growing. There's a projection, the market is right now worth at least 30 mil in Southeast Asia, where Thailand and Singapore is driving the revenue. But one thing to note, Southeast Asia is a region with low credit card penetration rate. We estimate that maybe about 10-15% of the users who are holding all these smart devices has credit cards to pay for. Or even they have credit cards, the credit cards may not be accepted in the App Store at all because they may be detected as fraud or whatever. So the market, the revenue here is still small compared to other countries, but there's an upside to it. Actually, the market potential could be 3 to 5 times more itself. Look at, if I take the figure earlier on, 30 mil times 12 months, we get about 360 mil of revenue from the App Store, Google Play and Apple App Store. But looking beyond, that's maybe just about 10%, 15% of market. There's a potential that it can grow beyond 1.5, 1.8 billion. But how do we do that? The main thing is you need to enable payment for the masses. App stores only cater to the higher end of the market. Users have credit card, but for us, basically, Southeast Asia, most of the users are in the mid and low class. Most of our users are actually in the mid and lower class of the society. Basically, it's a very tight pyramid. So if you enable third-party payments into your games, you actually should see your revenue grow by at least 2 to 3 times from the App Store. Um, Taking a case from Asiasoft, we actually launched our mobile game in Thailand, and actually we enable our own billing system. We actually see revenue growing 2 times beyond what we receive from the App Store. Our game is doing not bad, top 5 grossing in the Google Play and Android Apple Store for the last 4 months. But we see revenue out of the App Store actually even much bigger than that. And that is growing on a month-to-month basis because teenagers below 21 have access to it. And one thing about Southeast Asia, there's there's a war brewing up. It's basically a more of platform wars. Over the last year, we had Kakao, WeChat, Line coming in, doing a lot of promotions, um, getting Messi to do the football star Messi to do advertisement in Southeast Asia, getting K-pop bands to do promotion. So everyone is actually fighting for the market share, user market share in Southeast Asia. They see a very good potential. And one thing about all these platforms, which include the mobile operators, they had their own billing system, they have user base, they have messaging. So it's gonna be quite bloody out there in the coming years because the market is just so big. Everyone is just fighting for it. And with recent acquisition of WhatsApp by Facebook, I think they will actually join the war also. And for mobile game developers, I think these are partners that actually you could look beyond the App Store itself, and and each group has its own target user base that may not have been accessed or reached out by the App Store. So that includes Asiasoft, where we had user base and payment system. And basically, what's the next wave to catch? I would say everyone knows about it. It will be something. It's a mobile trend, mobile wave. Because in Southeast Asia, penetration rate is high, but there's a need to convert all the feature phones to smartphones. So there's a growing number of new users that you can tap on. Comparing to merchant markets, acquisition cost is high. It's in few dollars, three to five. But Southeast Asia is still in the lower range, so there's still a good chance for everyone to come in to acquire users before it gets too expensive. And one thing about Southeast Asian users is that we had very higher loyalty, um, I would say higher loyalty towards certain apps or certain services or certain games. In Southeast Asia, there are games that actually have been in the top 20 grossing for coming 2 years, and is still doing good. Um, Taking a case, Rage of Bahamut that was been launched by DNA, is still doing well. I would say not. It's coming to 2 years, or over 2 years. It's still in the top 20, top 30 grossing in the app stores. So users are still very loyal, tagging on to the games itself. So depending how you build your users, you need to engage the community a lot in order to ensure a long LTV. And before jumping into the market, you need to look before you jump. You need to strategize a bit. Sorry. So Southeast Asia is a melting pot of East and West. We are very influenced by Western media and by K-pop, by Japan manga, right now China content. So we don't have specific preference. Everything works, but you need to find what's the niche or what really attracts the users, because we are too open to everything. And don't one misconception is that a lot of developers or publishers would like to always see Southeast Asia as one, but actually we are mainly the 6 countries with 6 different languages and 6 cultures that everyone need to know and understand. Um, all the countries are placed very close to each other. There are also still ongoing small fights, small squabbles between the countries itself. Like the Thai may not really like Cambodian, the Myanmar, um, the Vietnamese may not like China, or yeah, the Vietnamese don't like China or don't like Chinese because there are Thai Chinese, Singaporean Chinese, so they view us as one. So understanding of local culture, local languages is important. Localizing your game to the local language helps a lot because illiteracy rate is still low. A lot of the mid-low users still don't understand English. And one thing is finding where the money is. Need to go and get don't rely on the app store. Go and find someone who has a payment channel, payment and distribution channel to actually push your games out. So that's where you can actually enjoy a higher ROI on distributing or publishing in Southeast Asia. So you need to look carefully, if not you'll just be hit with a lot of brick walls. So that's the end of my presentation.